Yeah, stand up, boy, because that's the kind of energy we're bringing for the next foreseeable future. And it's good to see young men act like men again. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's his right if he wants to sit. No, it's his duty to stand. USA man, and every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags.
Wow, Adam, you're such a manly super patriot. You know, you realize that wearing the flag and using it for advertising is just as much a violation as not standing for it underneath the flag code, right? Of course you know that. Of course you know. I know you know that. But it's quite obvious that you use it for your advertising. That's like your whole fucking brand, right? Super patriot, just wrapped in the flag. Let me guess. When you look at that flag, right, you see like a sacred symbol, right? You think of all the fucking patriots back in the day fighting underneath Old Glory, you know? You reminisce about pictures like this. Or, you know, those paintings of like Bunker Hill, shit like that. Truth be told, no one in the Revolutionary War fought underneath the Stars and Stripes like this. This never happened. This is not a thing that happened. This scene right here, yeah, I mean, they were on the boat, but they weren't waving a fucking flag, especially one that looked like that. Just missed, my friend. Now, obviously, soldiers didn't go flagless, of course. I mean, there was battle flags, and you know, to keep up people's spirits. But nobody cares about those old fucking battle flags. You know, what we want is those fucking paintings of Washington crossing the Delaware with the fucking flag. Actually, out of America's Revolutionary War heroes, the only one that fought underneath the Stars and Stripes was actually John Paul Jones. But it's quite clear from early fucking congressional debates that the real reason when the founders adopted their national flag in the first place was for practical fucking reasons. That, like, you know, the Navy needed one, obviously, for identification when sailing into fucking foreign ports. But to understand how we got a flag, we got to start where our flag came from. And no, it didn't come from Betsy Ross. That entire story was made up by her grandson. If we're going to give anyone credit, it's going to be this guy here, because that's who Congress gave credit. But the truth is, we don't really actually know who came up with the design of the Stars and Stripes. But starting from the beginning on how we got our fucking flag in the first place, we got to start here. English Cross of St. George. Scottish Cross of St. Andrew. British Union flag was proclaimed by King James I in 1606, used until 1801. British Union Jack, 1801. The British Meteor flag. Here we go. Now we're starting to get into these battle flags. Traditional Bunker Hill flag, Revolutionary War. Not the Stars and Stripes. Flag of Hanover Association. Flag of the Bedford Company, Battle of Concord. Flag of the First Troop, Philadelphia City Cavalry. Rhode Island Revolutionary War. Flag of the Green Mountain Boys. Flag of the 2nd New Hampshire Regiment. Here you go. Here's one you chowderheads will recognize, huh? There you go. See, look at Happy New England. Little happy tree. Little appeal to heaven. Gotta love it, huh? Here you got the great or Grand Union flag raised over the Continental Army in Cambridge, Mass. Here you got the flag of the British East India Company. This is the Navy Jack, don't tread on me. Here you got the American stripes, used between 1776 and 1795. Here you got the South Carolina naval flag. Now here you got the conjectural Francis Hopkins design for the Stars and Stripes. So after seeing these, you can see that, like, not many people knew what the flag actually looked like. Because we didn't fucking fly it anywhere. You know, it was only made for the fucking Navy. And I'm talking about top government fucking officials. In fact, Ben Franklin and John Adams wrote a joint letter to the King of Naples describing our flag. It is with much pleasure on this occasion that we acquaint your excellency. The flag of the United States of America consists of 13 stripes, alternately red, white, and blue. Small square in the upper angle next to the flagstaff, and there's a blue with 13 white stars denoting a new constellation. 13 stripes, alternately red, white, and blue. Now, obviously, we can forgive them for their ignorance because, as I said, the flags weren't a thing really back then. They probably had these guys in mind right here. That's more reminiscent of what they were talking about in their letter. Now, during that revolutionary period, over in France, they depicted the flags look like this. On the left here, This was Paris, 1781, the flag of the American Congress on the left side. And then the drawing on the right shows the mercantile flag of the United States without cannon or stars, but with 7 red and 6 white stripes. Then you got these guys down here as well. Here's our flags, how they're depicted over in Germany, 1790s. You got this flag here, but you know what? It's more of a pennant, obviously. Now here's a classic, right? The battle over Bennington. Pause the read. Here you got the North Carolina militia flag that was carried at the Battle of Guilford. This here is the flag of the 3rd Maryland Regiment. Here you got the Stars and Stripes that was believed to have been flown at Fort Independence in Boston in 1781. Here you can see the painting down underneath depicting that. This is our official 2nd flag in the United States, 1795 to 1818. This was the first flag to be carried across the continental United States during the Louis and Clark expedition that Thomas Jefferson put them on, or the beginning of Manifest Destiny. Now, this isn't the Revolutionary War. This is the 33-star flag at Fort Sumter during the Civil War. One of 2 flags was flown there. This one is the one that made it. And this is our 2nd flag of the Civil War, the 35. The reason why we went from 33 to 35, obviously because of the war, but when the Civil War began, the 33-star flag was the flag of the nation. But, you had the admission of Kansas on January 29th as a 34th state, which made the 34-star flag official after July 4th of that year. But during the war, 2 more states were admitted, West Virginia and then, obviously, Nevada. And so since we're here at the Civil War, I got to go over the Confederate flags real quick because these guys are idiots. Conservatives in this country have always been idiots. This is the Confederate national flag, the first one, raised on March 4th, 1861 over the state of the capital of Montgomery, Alabama, meeting place of the Provisional Confederate Congress. The 7 stars in the Union on the upper left corner represented the states then in the Confederacy. Does it look a little familiar? Yeah. So familiar, in fact, that they fucking changed it because it looked too much like the fucking Union flag, so they did this, which was another disaster because now it just fucking looks like a flag that says, I give up. So then these fucking geniuses came up with this one, the Confederate national flag, which was the 3rd official flag that they had, adopted March 4th, 1865. And because that fucking national flag at a distance could not be distinguished from the northern flag, they came up with this fucking Confederate battle flag. So that way they could not be mistaken in battle. Genius. So obviously, point of getting to here is that throughout the 1800s, nobody gave a fuck about the flag the way you guys give a fuck about the flag now. That didn't start becoming a thing until the late 1800s, until the 1890s. Also, you want to hear another little fun fact for you conservatives, anti-immigrant guys? Actually, the Union actually brought in 100,000 immigrants to fight against the Confederates. And if you had enough money, you could just pay someone $300 like an immigrant to go fight for you, like J.P. Morgan did. And Theodore Roosevelt Sr., Teddy Roosevelt's father. Somewhere around 85,000 people paid immigrants to fight for them, along with bringing in about 100,000 immigrants to fight against the Confederates. But as I was saying, in the late 1800s, we had to start getting these raggedy-ass, dirty-ass people to assimilate into our culture. Otherwise, it's going to be the death of America. All right, this video turned out to be a lot longer than I expected, so I'm going to make a second part. This is the first part. I'll see you on the next one.